Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to talk about hair care tips that you have probably never heard of. These are going to be things that differ from what you see online, what you see on TikTok, on Hair Talk. I'm gonna mix in some unpopular opinions, some hair care myths, mistakes, tips, and everything like that. So let's just get right into the video. The first thing that I want to discuss is something related to DIY hair care. I know this might be controversial because I know people who do DIY hair care, they're very invested in it, as I used to be. This hair care tip is literally just that you don't have to make your DIY hair care, because now in 2024, there is pretty much a hair product that you can buy that works more effectively than the at-home DIY hair care, that is more concentrated, and that is just more time efficient. And I know obviously DIY is usually very inexpensive, borderline free, but I believe that because the stuff in the store is more concentrated, usually it is going to last you longer. I personally feel like it is worth the money. So the main DIY product, well, there's two that I wanted to talk about today. The first one is rice water. So rice water, as you guys know, I have a rice water video that has a very large amount of views. So I'm sure that the majority of you watching this video have seen it. I used to make rice water consistently. I used to use it on my hair all the time, but once I became a mom, I no longer had the time to do it. What you can do instead, if you wanted to use rice water, is use these shampoo bars that are infused with rice. So they are the Viore shampoo bars, and this video is not sponsored. I just really like the products. They work. Besides the fact that they're just literally eco-friendly and everything like that, they're great for the environment. They also work, and they have rice water in them. So that is a really great way to get rice water into your hair care routine without having to make it. Another product that I like to use in replace of DIY hair care is something that I just started to use recently, and this is the As I Am Rosemary Water. This I ordered from Target, again, not sponsored. I just love this. So instead of making rosemary water, which when you make it at home with like the sprigs of rosemary, it's actually not that concentrated. You can literally use this on clean hair, dirty hair, oily hair, wet hair, dry hair. You just apply it to your roots and scalp, and it works literally the same way as like at-home rosemary water, except it's just better. So instead of making rosemary water, you can literally just use this. The next hair tip is about drying your hair. Everyone knows, I think by now, that using a microfiber towel, using a towel that is intended to dry your hair, aka a hair drying towel, that is the safest way to dry your hair when it comes to towels. But did you know that using a cotton t-shirt is also a safe way to dry your hair? And it is much easier and less expensive because you don't have to buy the towel. You don't have to make sure that your one, microfiber hair towel is clean, because I'm sure, maybe I'm projecting, but I like to wear big cotton t-shirts to bed. I just have like a ton of them. So I just grab a cotton t-shirt and put it over my head like a hair drying towel, and it literally does the same thing. As a matter of fact, I would say that it's probably less damaging. The next tip is, if you want to grow out your hair, focus on the ends of your hair. So of course, take care of your scalp. Make sure that you are washing your hair. Make sure that you are washing your hair consistently, whatever that looks like for you and for your hair type. But the main thing that you should be doing is focusing on the ends. And to do this, you can use things like serums, heat protectants, hair masks, conditioners, leave-in conditioners, and all of these things can be purchased at the drugstore. So I'm actually filming a video right now where I use drugstore hair care products every day for a week, like exclusively using drugstore hair care products. And I don't want to spoil the video because I'm pretty sure this one is going to go up before that one, but I am finding that drugstore hair care products are amazing. They're just amazing. Even the serums. I used to think that the serums from the drugstore were not good, but they are amazing. So any of those things, any of those products that you can get your hands on, definitely use them on an everyday basis on the ends of your hair to help keep them protected, to help prevent breakage and prevent split ends, so that as your hair is growing, it actually looks long and it looks healthy, as opposed to it growing and then breaking off at the ends. Another hair care tip that you've probably never heard of is that keratin treatments are not always bad. And I'm not even just talking about the formaldehyde-free keratin treatments. I'm talking about keratin treatments just in general. So if you have hair that is extremely unmanageable, if you cannot figure out like how to detangle your hair, if you don't have the time to dedicate to making your hair detangled, soft, silky, smooth, all of the stuff that goes along with that, like using a million products, blow drying, straightening, etc. If you just don't have the time, if you just don't want to do it, if you can't figure out how to do it, it is okay to get a keratin treatment. So with a keratin treatment, basically what a keratin treatment does is it seals the hair cuticle. It basically mummifies your hair. So it's going to have to take a lot more to damage your hair. Your hair is going to be able to grow long. You're not going to have as much frizz, if any at all. Your hair is going to dry faster, air dry faster. It's not going to get tangled as easily, which is then going to prevent damage to your hair. And it's just going to look a lot sleeker and shinier. You're not going to have to use as much heat on it because of the way that it's just going to naturally look when it air dries. I have a bunch of videos on keratin treatments, so if you want to check any of those out, I'll put them in the description below. I've also discussed why I regret getting a keratin treatment done. It's not because it's damaging, because actually it was not damaging at all. It actually really protected my hair and allowed it to grow super, super long because of how protective keratin treatments are. I regret it because I just didn't need it. So that's kind of where I'm at personally with keratin treatments. But if you have hair that is like unruly, it is unmanageable, you can't figure it out, there's nothing wrong with getting a keratin treatment. If you actually learn more about keratin treatments, I honestly feel like so many more people would get them done if they actually knew the truth. Okay, another hair care tip that you probably don't know is the importance of sleeping with your hair in a bun. And I feel like this is also going to fall under the category of unpopular opinions, just because when you think of a hairstyle to sleep in, I feel like the last thing that people would want to do is like put your hair up in a messy bun, because it just sounds counterintuitive. Like it just sounds better to put your hair in a nice braid. But this is my experience. Anytime I put my hair in a braid and I sleep, I almost always wake up with ends that feel very textured and dry because of the friction between my body, the hair, and the bed. However, if you put your hair up in a bun and you leave the ends out, so you do like a fan bun and you leave the ends out, or you do like a twist bun and you secure it with a claw clip, that's going to prevent pretty much all friction on your hair because it's going to be up. So it's barely even going to be touching the pillow. And that's how I sleep with my hair. Another hair care tip that you've probably never heard of is you don't necessarily have to sleep with a silk pillowcase. I know that those are very trendy right now and I think they're great, but you can also just use a bonnet. Bonnets are not for a particular hair texture. Anyone can benefit from a bonnet if you have hair because they protect your hair while you're sleeping. This is the one that I use, and I like this one because it has a tie here. So you are able to adjust and like customize the tightness or looseness around your head, so it's just a lot more comfortable. The next hair care tip that you've probably never heard of is related to the importance of blow drying your hair. And no, I'm not going to discuss how blow drying is better than air drying because I talk about it all the time. There is more to the benefits of blow drying than it just being better than air drying because it prevents damage at the ends of your hair. It also allows you to go longer in between washes. When your hair is wet for a long period of time, it can lead to a quicker buildup of oils and scalp sweat, which then of course is just going to lead to your hair getting oily faster. So if you blow dry it, making sure to blow dry the roots, your hair is not going to be wet for as long, and therefore it's going to take longer to get oily, and therefore you're going to be able to go longer in between washes. So if you just try to avoid blow drying altogether, you could at least just blow dry the roots and avoid blow drying the ends in order to promote healthier hair. The next hair care tip that you've probably never heard of, maybe you've heard of this because I've made a video on it before, but I think a lot of people have not heard of the concept of product layering. So product layering is basically layering your conditioning products, your serums, your leave-ins, things like that. Basically, you are masking the gaps in your hair's cuticle that can lead to dull, unshiny hair. By layering all of those products, it makes your hair shinier, it makes it smoother, more detangled, healthier, less prone to breakage. Before you get in the shower, you apply a serum to the ends of your hair. Then in the shower, you shampoo, then you do a conditioner. If the ends of your hair still feel tangled, then you can go in with a hair mask. Then when you get out of the shower, you can apply either your third or fourth layer of product, which is the leave-in cream. And then over the leave-in cream, you would apply a serum. And then you just repeat that process throughout your entire hair care routine. So whenever you go to bed, you can apply a leave-in or just a hair cream. And then over that, you can do a serum. And depending on like how dense, how thick, how oily your hair is, you can either use more or less product. And then, you know, when you wake up in the morning, you don't necessarily have to apply more products, but just always before you go to bed, apply it. And the key is to do it in layers, because that is really going to help lock in the products and help them to work effectively and just keep the ends of your hair healthy and shiny. This brings me to my next tip, which is actually not something I was going to discuss, but now that I think about it, it's definitely a hair tip that I hadn't heard of prior to like 6 months ago. When you're applying conditioner, if you feel like your hair is still even a little bit tangled, after you rinse out the conditioner, you can then go in with another layer of conditioner, or you can do a hair mask. Basically, just keep doing that until your hair feels completely detangled. That's when I know that my hair is fully conditioned. I've never had to apply more conditioner or more hair mask than just doing 2 layers in the shower. Usually 1 is enough, but sometimes if my hair is feeling really dry or really tangled, then I'll have to go in with an extra layer. Another hair care tip that you've probably never heard of is how to properly figure out your hair's porosity. Don't do that like porosity test where you put your hair in a cup of water and then if it floats, if it sinks, whatever, it's you know, high porosity or low porosity, whatever. That, from what I've read, is an unreliable way to figure out your hair's porosity. Instead, take a strand of hair and run your fingers down the length of your hair, and wherever your hair starts to feel more textured, that's where your hair is going to be higher in porosity. Wherever your hair is smoother, that's where your hair is lower in porosity. And something to keep in mind is that you can have different porosity at different parts of your hair. So for example, I have low porosity up here, and then as I get towards the ends, that's when it starts to feel more textured, which is when my hair starts to increase in porosity. Knowing your hair's porosity is important when figuring out your hair care routine, because the porosity affects how your hair absorbs and retains moisture. Hair that is higher in porosity usually needs heavier products just to lock everything in. And then hair that is lower in porosity, or sections of your hair that are lower in porosity, require products that are a lot lighter, because there's not going to be much of anything that is able to get absorbed into your hair shaft. So if you use a heavy product on a part of your hair that is low in porosity, then that product is mostly just going to sit on top of your hair shaft. Also, like when it comes to shampooing low porosity hair, usually you have to use a shampoo that is more heavy duty, not necessarily one that has sulfates. A lot of times you use one that has sulfates, but not always, just because the oils are not getting absorbed into your hair shaft because your hair is so low in porosity. The last hair care tip that I have is just how to apply products properly. Instead of taking your heat protectant and going like this which actually is something that I'm guilty of. Section your hair into a small section like this. Secure your hair in the hairbrush. Take the heat protectant, spray it as you brush it. And then continue doing that throughout like all of your hair. So just brush it, spray, and repeat. That way your hair is thoroughly coated in the heat protectant, as opposed to it just being concentrated in certain spots, as opposed to being like fully spread out, which of course is then going to keep your hair protected and healthy, despite the fact that you are using heat on it. And that way you're able to keep all of your hair protected. And then another example of applying products correctly that I wanted to give is shampooing your hair. So this is mainly for people with oily hair. Of course, always shampoo your hair twice, but also if your hair is super oily, you could section your hair in 2 or even 3 sections and shampoo each section separately. That way you're just able to focus more on making sure that every inch, every centimeter of your scalp has been properly cleansed, as opposed to just, cleansing the whole thing in one go. And I know usually this works. I mean, this is honestly what I usually do. I usually just cleanse it all at once. But sometimes if my hair is too oily, splitting it in half and just shampooing one side first and then the other side, that is really effective if my hair is super oily. When it comes to applying creams and serums into your hair, a really good way to apply them is to very gently twist the ends of your hair like this. You can also do the praying hands method, where you just put the product on your hands like this and you just go like this to fully coat your hair in the product. As I'm sitting here, I just keep coming up with more and more tips that you've probably never heard of. So this is going to be my last one, I promise. This is just that the brand Pantene is actually amazing, and I know, trust me, I know this sounds like it's sponsored. This video is not sponsored, although I have worked with Pantene in the past. This particular video is not sponsored. I'm not obligated to say any of this. I am just telling you guys honestly, one of the brands that I have been using the most in 2024 is Pantene. And I think a lot of people associate Pantene with products that are not healthy for your hair, but actually certain products of theirs that people consider to not be good for your hair, they work very, very, very well for a lot of people. Might not work well for you, but for a lot of people, they do work well. Let's put those products aside. They have new products that are actually amazing. So they have sulfate-free shampoos that work amazingly. Literally, I would say right now, I think Pantene has the best shampoo at the drugstore just because of how versatile it is. So if your hair needs sulfates, they have a shampoo for you. If you want to avoid sulfates with your hair, they have a shampoo for you. If you want no silicones in your shampoo, they have a shampoo for you. Likewise with their conditioners, they have deep conditioners, they have masks. They are killing it at the drugstore right now. I'm mainly including this as something that people may not know, because let's just all be honest here. There has been a lot of negative talk of Pantene on the internet, and I feel like Pantene has not been a brand that people really hype up in the past when it comes to drugstore, because people are just so afraid of silicones, even though silicones are not bad for your hair. So I think for that reason, like, Pantene does not get the credit it deserves, but I'm telling you guys, you need to try out some Pantene products. All right, you guys, this has been my very yappy, very talkative hair care tips that you've probably never heard of. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any hair care tips that you think I've never heard of or that anyone else has never heard of, please leave them in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys next time.